take a look at some what the president did say as far as that is concerned and some of the reactions that came after that.
The same shall be varied from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with the end time for the same being varied from 5 a.m. to 4 a.m.
And with high extension of curfew hours will be a great relief to our economy. Like Mama Boga, who feeds her family and other Kenyans by selling foodstuffs in the market, now we will be able to have more hours to do her business. We hope, Your Excellency, that very soon you will continuously advise us what to do about the lockdown, since many Kenyans are struggling to eke a living and, as a matter of fact, living on the edge during these uncertain times.
Right now, Canon Ambrose Wede, who is a lawyer, is joining me, or rather is joining that discussion on the economy. He has been with us from the beginning with Press Review. Now, Canon, I did hear you make quite an important point as far as the tourism sector is concerned. What do you make of the fact that we are having people losing their jobs, even without any possibility of a virus spreading? This is an industry that is quite seasonal, but right now we are having waitresses, waiters, we're having drivers, tour guides, hotels are shut down, and restaurants that heavily depend on tourists coming from outside the country coming in. But then the airlines, the international travel has not been opened up yet. What do you make of what is seemingly a bleak future for that particular sector?
I think it is not a bleak future.
Really?
You are better off. It is not a bleak future. You are better off preserving your life, having it until we have moved in the right direction. What do I mean by right direction? Remember in December, when this virus started in China,
yes,
there was very little knowledge, very, very little knowledge on how to deal with it. 5 months down the road, we have almost hit the bull's eye. We are now talking about getting the vaccine. We are now being able to control it. Some countries have gone back to almost normal where they have opened up. So if we looked at the body of knowledge being developed, then we are able to say there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you look at even when HIV came, it was a death sentence, but now we have overcome it. We are almost able to live with it. So going forward, if people are just to obey the regulations put by the World Health Organization, by the health, you will find that things will move a lot faster.
Right.
The tourism sector will not work as long as there's fear in the air. It will not work. So even countries that have covered their statistics like Tanzania, it will be very difficult to get somebody moving from Italy to Kenya when they are not sure that they are safe. So as we are moving forward, it is easy to see that there's no need to panic, but there's every need to ensure that we comply so that our statistics, the people infected, we see the curve going down and then we start reopening. Remember, trade is what constitutes an economy. Movement of people, movement of goods, movement of services, and then exchange. If that is not possible because COVID is ruling, then it will still continue to affect the economy. But my own projection is that we will have very, very good times if we are able to come over this. The world is coming over it. I'm sure by the end of this year, we shall have reached a stage where we are able to say it is controllable. So people should not, it is painful, but they should not be too worried.
Now, and there is room, I do believe, in certain industries or anything actually, when it comes to certain issues, there is room for ingenious ways of pivoting to use whatever you have and the little space that you have to actually make things better. For example, we are told right now that domestic tourism has seen an uptick because kids are at home, parents are trying to find ways of, entertaining them, and you're having more and more of them taking tours. So how better can can the tourism sector actually just pivot, just change things here and there in order to take advantage of the different ways in which the market has shifted?
In fact, for the local tourism, it is a boom. It should be a boom. It should be we should reorganize ourselves. I have been I normally take my family out on Sundays. You find you have nowhere to go where you can just sit, pitch a tent, and then have your meal and drive around. So this is the time when the local parks. We have a park in Nairobi.
Right.
When we are able to reorganize ourselves in such a way that families can go into the parks, they can have places to eat, they can have places to relax, they can have all these things. We have enough market before we wait for Wazungus to come from abroad. And for now, it is about costs, logistics, and security. If like you go to the animal offer, you'd like to go there, but they are not even coming out to say, we have put these things in place, we have made this, it is cheaper this way, it is better this way. If a group of family members come, there are 20 of them, we'll charge 10 of them, let them go in. They're not doing that. They have also gone to sleep. Yes, we have from 5 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. in the night. That's long enough. They should tap on this market. It is huge, and then they will make money. You hear there's some people that are making more money than those who are doing in the camera industry.
Absolutely.
All these things. I am been able to enrich my YouTube page. It's called the School of Greatness. So there are opportunities, and I urge Kenyans to remember that there are always two sides to things. There is hot and cold, yes and no. So when you are told you are not moving, find out how you can turn it. Now we are working from home. I am doing this analysis from my own house, my own library, at home. There are opportunities. God said there are two sides. The tourism sector is so huge.
Yes.
So huge. They should even have allowed us to keep some of these animals at home so that the people can come and see the animals who can keep at home. They are safe. The late Mutula Close had his own lions. It is not only in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai where the sheikhs are able, but us, we can keep and feed them with half a kilo of meat.
Yeah, there's so many ways to approach it. And speaking of movement in and outside of the country, there's the element of certain areas experiencing, remote areas, not far from what was seen as the epicenter of the virus, experiencing more infections and the spread of coronavirus. Now, we had CS Mutahi Kagwe saying the National Emergency Response Committee needs to meet to accelerate and ensure that the directive on the 300 beds is achieved. Obviously, in certain areas, such as you talk about Siaya, that we were told only has 10 days, most of the infections come from these the drivers, the truck drivers that are traversing the region and going in and out of the country, bringing it in or perhaps even taking it out of the country. So when you see localities suffering like that owing to some of the economic activities that are centered in those regions, what do you make of it?
I think, this is a disease that came by plane and by traveling. It did not come on its own. Meaning, one of the reasons why Kenya is a bit stable in terms of controlling this disease is that those of us in Nairobi were prevented from going to hug our grandmothers and granddaddies in the village, and then we leave them with corona. That is why it is less. But as the movement continues, as the truck drivers continue along the road, and then as they are waiting to be cleared at the border, then they go around and touch ladies or whatever in the villages. Then that is how this is going. If they were mindful of the older people in the villages, that these people are relatively safer, then we will be able to control this pandemic. And if we control it in the cities, it will fizzle out in the villages. If we therefore tomorrow the president was to allow people to say, okay, move over. When I will go around and I will be greeting my constituents in Seme, quite a number of them. By the time I come back, I have left quite a number very sick. So the control is good.
Yes.
And if the truck drivers and these other people moving were more careful, we'd be able to take care. If China did it in such a short period, why not us? And they did it when there was very little body of knowledge. Now we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information.
Right. Now, the curfew is still in place, and you've talked about some of those, you've alluded to some nocturnal activities. Do you think this is helping a great deal, and that extension by 30 more days would help see a difference to whether this continues to spread, particularly in those remote areas?
Oh, yes. These 30 more days would help. In fact, before you even go to Corona, listen to the hospital proprietors. They are saying they are closing down. There are no patients. Why are there no patients? Because there's little movement. There are very few accidents. There's little movement at night. So people are hardly being infected. People get infected at night because either you are tipsy, you are not taking care, and you are eating dirty things, and people end up with this. So the statistics are now showing that the people are more healthier than they were because of the restrictions, the nocturnal activities. I myself have participated in them for a long time, and I know what goes on there. If this was reduced until the pandemic is controlled, it will be well and good. So increasing, adding another 30 days, I don't think it was the president who added. It is ourselves by refusing or failing to adhere to these things properly, and the projections are that there will be increase in infections. If you look at the testing, and we are not testing quite a number, but the testing shows it is still going up. And it can go up. Unless we want to bury our heads in the sand like our neighbor. There's our neighbor somewhere who has buried his early as the slave, declared his country safe of corona and whatever. Yet, I can tell you that my own vicar, the vicar of the provost of all Saints Cathedral,
yes,
caught this and is in hospital. Another bishop in the Anglican Church, my bishop,
yes,
caught this and went to hospital, almost lost his life. Boris Johnson got this and almost lost his life. President Trump had to swallow some concoction. So when somebody walks up and says this is just a joke, surely, I'm telling you people now I know local. So we are to ensure that our figures go steady, then they go down, then the restrictions can be easy. Otherwise, if they continue to go up, I'm sure the president will do another 60 days, another 70 days. People get this clearly. It will come unless you obey these things. And even if the president was to tell us, just come out of allowed without movement, some of us will not move. Some of us, those who move the world, will not come out. You will not expect Professor Magoha, who knows that if you are 60 plus, you are at higher risk, to come out. You will not expect the same cabinet ministers. So we must fight this together.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of economic activity actually depends heavily on gathering, and this includes churches. Even the tourism sector that we've discussed extensively does require some form of gathering, particularly when it comes to restaurants and what have you. And then there's the sense of politics, as reggae has been halted. Some political politics diehards are wishing for those rallies to come back. But then, of course, when it comes to churches, we do know that there is an element of the economy, and of course they do depend on offerings and the goodwill of a lot of people. So when the president says there is consultation into the possibility of bringing back this said sort of religious gathering, whatever the religion you're talking about, well, how does it sit with you, you being a canon yourself? What do you think, physical gathering versus our own safety? How do we strike a balance between that and, of course, the economic aspect of it?
My position has always been that the King of Kings, the creator of all things, has told us to seek one thing. He has not told us to pray and fast. He has not told us to gather. He has told us, my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because they have rejected knowledge. That is Hosea 4:6. But the principal thing he has asked us to seek is wisdom. Proverbs 4:7. Seek wisdom. It is the principal thing.
Yes.
The wisdom of today, does it dictate that we gather and sing and jump and say hallelujah? Or it dictates that we stay apart, we keep distance. Remember that the prophets of today are some of those doctors. Remember, in China, there was a doctor who said there's a problem here. This is going to this is going to kill us. Please do this. And the people, it was a message to all of us, humanity. We rejected it. He himself, he died. We are dying. So the prophets that God has sent, they are now coming in form of biologists, scientists, doctors, and they're telling us to preserve ourselves. We have to obey certain things. If the wisdom of the time dictates that the churches remain closed, they should be, because God is everywhere. You worship him everywhere. The churches are for gathering of the saints. However, I heard the South African pastors, they said, you either open the churches or you pay us. I know some of we support our pastors with the resources, and these pastors can still gather our mini, and our mini can still give support until it is physically safe for the churches to reopen. And that physical safety is not the president decree, it is the figures that we are posting in terms of infections. If it is still very high, I'm telling you as a canon, I will still not go to church. I continue. Luckily for me, I have St. Gamaliel Chapel in my house. We pray there full service every Sunday, but not everybody does that. But I will not do something which Jehovah himself is saying or calling foolishness. He says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. He says, seek wisdom. It is the principal thing. In all you are getting, get understanding. That is there, Proverbs 4:7 or 4:6.
Yes.
Those are my guiding principles, and those are things I tell my colleagues, including the church. Please look at those ones. Don't ignore it.
Now, that aside, we have the Mama Mboga. We have had just a bite right there that the civil society are allowing the president's extension of the curfew hours so that people can actually begin movement at 4 a.m. and end it at 9 p.m. What do you think this is going to do for the small business owners who have obviously been suffering because the level at which they can operate was limited when it was from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. So is this going to shift things, particularly at that small business level?
I think this thing of Mama Mboga restrictions is in the mind. The correct position is this.
Yes.
If you are allowed to move from 5 a.m. to 7, any legitimate business in a 12-hour economy will work. I myself, for the family, I go out to Nyayo Stadium, I go out to Kikoba to get the meals, to get the mboga, to get the viasis.
Yes.
And surely this Mama Mbogas, by about 5, 6, they are closed.
Yeah.
So that saying that, oh, this thing has affected their businesses, that is wrong. The businesses which may have been affected are the 24-hour clubs, the ones where we go and dance malo, malo, jalu, malo, that one. And let's say keshas, pray overnight.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the extension now makes it easy for those who work in offices to work up to 5 p.m., still come out, buy their mbogas, board their matatus, and get home. So saying, oh, lockdown, I hear people even when you are walking on the road, oh, this lockdown, they have or whatever to move. This lockdown affects people like us who come from up country. That I may not go to see my mother-in-law, I may not go to see my grandfather. But in terms of working, if I was practicing, I would work out, I would go out to my office, do the work I do virtual meeting, come back in good time. So the actions taken by the president enhances our ability to move, our ability to do certain things. And remember, the movement of goods is still allowed. Even individuals, you go and get certificate, you get permission, you get document, and you move. It is only idlers and those who are loitering around that are now told, please don't loiter. And that includes even members of the I have children, go to have children here. They can't leave the house because they will just be loitering.
Yes.
That's why I go out to get burger myself. So the people should not put their minds that, oh, this lockdown has prevented us from doing this. Oh, that is mental. It is attitude, and it should change. There's 4 to 9 is actually the day. The other part was supposed to be sleeping.
Now,
So those who are not sleeping, they should tell us what they do, yes.
Right, you've talked about traveling up country, and some of the people who had traveled up country were locked out of Nairobi once the cessation of movement order was put in place. Should these people be considered so that they might come back to work, because you know they've just traveled and then that happened to have been put in place? So what should be done as far as these people are concerned?
I think the people should get this clear. The cessation of movement did not lock down people 100% or 1,000%. Those who are locked out, there is a procedure you follow. And then you get the necessary permission and you come. Yeah. There are also those who are here. If there is a critical issue in my village, in the same way I come from Ombewa, I will get the necessary documentation and I will go.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, I just want to loiter around and show how my time is very big, then you will be told, please don't take corona to the village. So those who are at home, who are locked out, please follow the procedures are there. Talk to the chief, they'll tell you. Talk to the medical officers. Ask government. Those who are locked here in Nairobi, there are also procedures. You heard the president saying that some people left Kibera and then went to Siaya. How did they go? There was lockdown.
Yeah.
Because there's procedure. Even funerals, even if you're bereaved and we are taking people in the village, you are allowed. So let's not cover up and pretend we are so locked here that we can't leave. That is wrong. It is only if you have no reason that you'll be prevented from leaving or coming in. If you have a good reason, you will get permission. Even today, if I want to go to Senate, I will get permission.
Okay. Now, speaking of being locked in certain areas or jurisdictions, Mandera, Mombasa and Nairobi are still under that particular lockdown. Do you think we're not doing enough in these particular areas to limit the spread of COVID-19? Because these are quite huge economic hubs that are dependent upon by many people, but still, we're not making it as fast as we can in terms of getting rid of this virus and protecting ourselves, and therefore the need for that cessation of movement to be maintained. What is it about these hubs that is making it quite difficult, and so we cannot go back to usual in and outflow of activities, transportation that actually support the economy that is depended upon by very many?
A lot of good work done. Isili has been reopened, and you know Isili normally is the hub where we all go there. Yes. Personally, I go there every Christmas. That's where I buy clothing for my huge family. It's cheaper, it is faster, it is better. Yeah. So there are quite a number of people. It's a high settlement area. So that makes it also a very high volatile area. Right. It was closed, and now results show things have worked well. Kwale, Mombasa, you can see things are working fairly well. Now, it is not government or President Uhuru or President Magufuli that will dictate how we open. It is the discovery of the vaccines. In the absence of the vaccine, some medicine. But I talk to experts and they say, this kind of disease, you may not have a medicine that treats it. We may have to go the vaccine way, assuming it will not continue to mutate like HIV. So this is a world problem. And us here, we are waiting. We are praying very hard for Britain, America. You know, the big guys who know how to discover vaccines. Ones who have discovered vaccines. There's never been any vaccine discovered in Tanzania. So you can't sit here and hope that it will come from Tanzania or Madagascar. And these are the people who also generated the protocols that we are observing that are keeping us safe. So as much as we are implementing this, we are also waiting. Let people implement and wait. But thinking that we'll just wake up on Monday and then President Uhuru says, I have declared Kenya COVID-free, now move the way you want, do whatever you want, we will still tell him, Your Excellency, we are not going to die like that. Because we are watching local and international news. Yeah. And we see how they are being. Look at Korea. Right. Korea opened schools and then they closed it because things did not go well. Yes.
For sure. Now, as we conclude this, one of our commenters this morning is telling us that this is just a ploy by government to score some funds and loans from international organization. I mean, do you feel this type, and this is not the first time I'm hearing that, I'm sure you've heard this before, do you think this type of thinking is dangerous, and also do you think it's just falling prey to conspiracy theories that could actually be more harmful than do any good to those who actually subscribe to that sort of thinking?
Yeah, let me tell you, there are people who are very brilliant. Unfortunately, they are always brilliant in the wrong things. That's the problem. You are required, if it's a ploy, let the guy give us the treatment. Let him give us the medicine. Let him show us that this one is okay. 110,000 people have died in America alone.
Yes.
Brazil, they are burying. Some places, there are problems with cremation. You saw how it was in Britain.
Yes.
You hear the World Health Organization talking. So how would it be President Uhuru's ploy to funding from who?
Yeah.
From America. America is not giving money. From Britain. Britain is not giving money. So this is from who? Let us not talk. I have seen people talking, and some of these people are talking. They are very brilliant, but brilliant in the wrong things. If they were to be used that brilliance in the right things and to tell us, yes, this is a ploy, I was eating COVID and I'm fine. Yes, we know even there are people who cannot get HIV. The others, you just go once and you get it. So those talks should stop.
For sure.
Luckily, most Kenyans don't follow. I will not follow the fellow. Even if he was to convince my president to follow what he's saying, I will not follow until I think we are safe. Your responsibility to be safe is between you and your Jehovah, your Maker, not between you and any other person.
Thank you very much.
God. You want to eat poison? Eat it. You want to eat COVID? Sauria.
Thank you very much.
You are given a right to choose. Yes.
Canon Ambrose Wede, regular analyst on the show, a lawyer, and of course, thank you so much for your contribution to this particular topic, and we shall be keeping a close eye on the developments on that.